Alrighty, guys, we're going to give everybody a couple minutes to get connected here, or not a couple minutes, probably just a couple seconds to get connected. Sometimes it's tough to find the stream, and I had a caller that kept me on there for a little bit after the program, so I'm a little bit late getting started, later than I wanted to be, so I apologize for that. But people are going to start freaking out. I can't find the aftershock. I don't want to miss it. I can't find the aftershock. Well, we'll give them a couple seconds to get their alerts to pop up on Facebook, and I think Facebook is still doing that, where they alert you when there's someone you're following that's going live. But we'll give everybody a couple seconds to see their alerts and join us here on the channel. Got 13 or 16 here. People are finding it, so there we go. I'm going to pop in here into the comments. Good morning, Mary. Good to have you. All right. Well, I don't know. It was top of mind for me, and I meant to check this before I went on the air here. But one of the things, guys, that is everybody knows, like, Twitter or X, for social media, you can kind of see what's happening in the world in that moment. But there's another social media app called Telegram, and Telegram is used around the world. It's a free app, but basically it allows you to set up a channel, and then you can put everything about a topic on that channel. So if you're into Bitcoin mining, you can have a Bitcoin miner channel and everything Telegram. You can Telegram all the stuff about Bitcoin. Or if you want to keep up on the latest on the ground in the Ukraine, you can join any one of several Ukrainian Telegram channels. Russians have Telegram channels too. There's also Telegram channels for what's going on right now in Israel. So since I went on the air this morning, there have been 16 updates to this one Telegram channel I'm following, of Amir Safadi. A car was hijacked, and terrorists were trying to escape back into Gaza. They were neutralized. There were no hostages. Apparently 4 Israelis were killed by the Egyptian soldier in Alexandria. We'll talk about that. IDF continues to crush the homes of senior Hamas officials in the Gaza Strip. That's happening right now in real time. They're blowing up people's houses. On the roads of Israel this morning, just tanks and APCs rolling south. Let's see. 2 terrorists were captured near a kibbutz. I don't know what a kibbutz is, but in the south. Kibbutz? I don't know. Bomb-dropping drones were used in the very beginning of yesterday's murderous attack. This is how the military outposts were surprised. So very much in the same way Ukrainians are using drones to blow up Russian tanks. The Palestinians used the drones dropping grenades on top of tanks, basically to blow up Israeli tanks and armor. 500 Israelis dead so far. Fox News is now reporting 600 dead. And the number is going to keep going up. And I'm going to tell you about how bad this is, to give you a conceptual idea of what this is doing to the psyche of Israel. The president of Iran called Hamas's leader and congratulated him on the successful attack today. This morning, during search missions in southern Israel, the magnitude of the disaster was unveiled. 240 bodies of murdered young Israelis were found in a nature party area. And we'll talk about this, too, what happened during the rave. Total number of those now is at 600. That's what got them to 600. So this is how fast things are moving, guys. That was 6:40 in the morning local time. So that was a little over an hour and a half ago. Political Security Cabinet officially confirmed Israel is at war. The number of Israeli casualties from yesterday, okay. Yeah, I know that one. Oh, I'm not even going to read that story. It's too terrible. Formal declaration of war. No, 650 bodies. So Fox News is officially behind now. 650 bodies have been recovered at this point. Yeah, and that's just in the last few minutes. Israel Today, their most recent video. This clip shows an Israeli family hostage in their own home being forced to speak to the camera by their Hamas captors. The children are crying because Hamas just murdered their brother or their sibling in front of their eyes. The little girl asks, but she'll come back, right? And the mother sadly answers no. Can you imagine? So this is so much worse than anything you're seeing in the mainstream media is reporting right now. This is so much worse. To give you some context on this, yesterday when the death count was 300, that's more people than died in the Yom Kippur War. when like multiple countries attacked Israel at the same time with actual tanks and stuff, more people were killed in this attack than in that war. Oh, let me give you one more. More people, when the death count was 300, more people were killed in Israel yesterday than in every incursion of any foreign government into Israel in the history of the country combined. Every war, every action, every cross-border thing, every round of fighting, add them all up, and it wasn't 300 people that were killed. So what made this different? I don't know how Israel didn't see this coming. I don't know how we didn't see this coming. Or maybe that's why Israel didn't see it coming, is because we saw it coming and we didn't say anything. We have freaking Chinese spy balloons flying over our country, so I mean, we're not ones to talk about, drone awareness. But basically, Israel has a very high-tech border on the southern border. Cameras looking for all kinds of activities, automated systems, detection systems, all this stuff. Somehow that was taken offline. So that wasn't good. It was taken offline, and then drones came across the border, as we talked about, armed with grenades. They attacked military infrastructure for the most part, attacking armor and vehicles and basically what would have been first responder vehicles. Next up, there was a barrage of over 5,000 missiles fired. Think about that, 5,000. Okay, I want you to imagine it's the 4th of July, and your responsibility is to shoot off 500 of those mortars that go in the tube and shoot up in the air and go kapow. 5,000. Now, normally you buy a box of 20 or 25, and by the end of the night, you're like, I'm so tired of this, right? 5,000 rockets were fired into Israel. There's night shots of the Iron Dome system. It looked like a game of Missile Command, and not the first level. We're talking like level 99, Missile Command. Every streak, pop, streak, pop, streak, pop, just intercepting things coming in. So the Iron Dome was doing its job, but I mean, 5,000 rockets, some stuff's going to get through. So then, on top of that, while all this is going on, there's a rave happening in southern Israel. A rave is a big dance party for kids, right? Young people. Bookie, 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 big loud music, people dancing around, yay, having a good time. People came from all around Europe to this rave. It was like a big deal. It was a world peace. It was a party for world peace. So bookie, 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 everyone's dancing, having a great time. And then all of a sudden this camera's panning across the crowd. And he pans over to the side, and then he pans up. And in the distance, like those flying fan lawn chair things, like the paragliders that you see down by the river sometimes. It's a parachute over the top, and there's a giant boat fan on the back of a lawn chair, and some dude's up there flying it around, sitting in the lawn chair. Paragliders. Targeting the rave. They came after the World Peace rave, where all these young people were, with their automatic weapons mounted in the front of their lawn chairs, and they flew across the border in these air-powered lawn chairs, landed. Anybody who tried to run away from the rave got shot. People who didn't run away from the rave got kidnapped. Now, a lot of these people were not Israelis. There's one picture that's circulating pretty widely, you may have seen it, of a mostly naked woman laying in the back of a pickup truck on her stomach with her leg bent at a 90-degree unnatural angle, like she didn't fit in the back of the truck, so they just made her fit. You never want to say, I hope somebody's dead, but that looked like a horrific knee break at the knee. And she's German. She's not even Israeli. She was just there for the World Peace Party. So then, on top of all of that, commando teams crossed from Gaza into Israel with the express goal of just killing as many civilians as they could kill. So they advanced into the communities. They took prisoners. Sometimes they took them back to Gaza. There's this really, really terrible video. There's a kid, maybe 8 years old, maybe 10 years old. And they're parading these prisoners in Palestine through the streets in Gaza. And the citizens are like mocking them and throwing things at them and slapping them around. And there's a guy, he's got like a crop, like a riding crop kind of looking thing. And he's like snapping the boy in the face and stuff like that. And the kid is just like, oh. I mean, you put that black and white, it looks like something you would have seen in the 1940s. I mean, the kid is obviously like, he doesn't know what to do. He's an adult. He's like, I'm supposed to be nice to adults, but, and then he's getting whipped around and paraded, and they're pulling his hair back to show his face to the camera. And like, he's a kid. He's just a little kid. But that's the thing. They don't care. Now, you've got Russia came out and said that, we strongly stand in opposition to the retaliatory efforts of the Israeli army. In other words, we don't care about what happened to Israel. Israel caused this by impoverishing and imprisoning these 2 million people or whatever. Then the next thing you know, Saudi Arabia comes out with a statement that says the whole attack was Israel's fault for everything it's done to the Palestinians. Meanwhile, Hezbollah on the northern borders of Israel is preparing to attack. And so Israel is now fighting essentially a two-front war. There are still commando teams moving through Israeli communities, holding people hostage inside their homes, killing their family members, or trying to escape and take them back to Gaza as prisoners. Why do they want so many prisoners? One of the things they did initially, they targeted police stations, first responders, police equipment. They literally took over one police station entirely, BLM style. They went in and took over the police station. Israel responded. There was like 50 of these guys in the police station or something. Israel responded. They sent a bulldozer and they knocked over the police station on top of them. Like, Israel is in an F around and find out kind of mood right now. This, as shocked and disturbed as we were when 9/11 happened, this is way worse. From a percentage of population, way worse. I'm trying to think of a okay, this would be the equivalent of, let's say, the cartels from Mexico decided to do a fully armed incursion into the southern United States. And they advanced into the southern communities of Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, pushed into those communities, shot anybody they saw, hung them from bridges, all this stuff. Biden deploys the National Guard, right? But the National Guard is now having to retake territory that the cartels have taken away, that the cartels now control, and they're holding hostages. And so it's a delicate thing. So imagine that scenario. Imagine as Americans how you would feel if something like that happened. And there's the border, the southern border, as screwed up as it is, there's a bit of a status quo, right? The cartels want to make money, and engaging the U.S. government in physical violence and killing its citizens is bad for business. So they don't do it on a mass scale. They don't do it. Even El Chapo's kids now are killing their own drug lord dealers because they're saying no more fentanyl to America. You don't send fentanyl to America because, holy crap, Donald Trump's going to win the friggin' election, and he's going to come down here and he's going to nuke us. So stop the fentanyl to America. Stop killing their friggin' kids. And any dealer that is part of our network, or any dealer at all that pushes fentanyl into America, you're going to die. F around and find out. You're going to die. So, and they started doing it. They started killing their own dealers who kept exporting fentanyl to America. So even as screwed up as the southern border is, there is still this détente where it's like, we want to keep something good for business, and America doesn't want to get too aggressive with the cartels, because if you get too aggressive with the cartels, that makes it bad for business. The cartels are going to respond. You're going to see a violence increase. So what do? In Israel, it was a similar situation. They had this situation with the Palestinians. Israel's been providing them with free energy, free power, free gas, not because they're generous, but because the Palestinians never pay the bill. And Israel doesn't want to be accused of being mean and nasty people, so they don't cut off their power to their hospitals and stuff. Gaza has no power right now. All the power to the entire 2 million people in Gaza has been cut. So no water systems, no hospital systems, no nothing. Israel is not screwing around. They blew up, they gave 12 hours notice to the citizens. They were like, well, we're coming for Hamas. We're going to finish Hamas. If you are hanging out near Hamas, you are going to get hurt. Get away from Hamas. Now, you can't exit the Gaza Strip, right, because it's locked down. But don't. So yeah, here's an apartment complex where we know there's a Hamas compound. You saw 3 explosions, pop, 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 and the whole building, just an entire high-rise, like condo apartment residential complex, just crushed right on top of whatever Hamas was in that, gone. So Israel is sending their troops in now because they're going to take over. The hospital is a prime place where Hamas loves to put like their rocket systems on. They launch them from the roof of the hospital because they're daring Israel to return fire on a hospital. And so Israel is just going to go in and take over the hospital now. They're going to take over the whole Gaza Strip. There's going to be casualties. There are members of the Israeli government, basically the equivalent of their Congress, who are setting aside their government duties to pick up their rifle and report. Can you imagine anyone in the United States Congress, Matt Gaetz, McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, putting aside their governmental duties to go pick up a gun and report to the border to fight off an incursion with a high risk of a casualty rate? Good chance you're going to get shot and killed. Crazy. Stores, shops in southern Israel, pictures of soldiers sleeping in all the aisles of the grocery stores because all the shop owners have opened up their shops to give these soldiers a place to sleep for the night so that before they move on. I mean, it is a phenomenal sight to see, and there's going to be significant Israeli casualties. This is different. Now, Netanyahu gave a statement. They said this is not a special operation. This is not another round of fighting. We are at war. This is a war, and wars are fought to be won. Now, why would Hamas take a bunch of hostages, civilian hostages? Well, they want to trade them for imprisoned Palestinians that are imprisoned in Israel. So if you look at the logic behind this, Hamas believes there's going to be some kind of a response, and then it's going to tie down, and then they'll be able to negotiate the transfer of hostages with Israel. I don't think they understand what they have done to Israel today, how they have fundamentally changed the Israeli calculus. Israel was having trouble putting a government together, very much like we are. As messy as you think the speaker race is, Israel was trying to put together like a prime minister, and they couldn't get the factions of the Israeli government to work together to put Netanyahu or anybody else in charge for any period of time. Well, all of a sudden now in 9/11 style unity, every single opposition faction to the government, they had some demands, but all the demands except for one faction was like they wanted Netanyahu to fire a bunch of what they called far-right ministers before they joined the coalition government, and he told them they could go pound sand. They didn't need them because everybody else was there. But other people, the other factions had some demands before they joined the coalition government. Number one, declaration of a state of war with Gaza, with Palestine. Number two, to call up all defense forces. Well, those things have already been done. Number three, a ground force invasion of Gaza, underway right now as we speak. Number four, there was like this list of demands, and Netanyahu was like, yes, 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 yes. These are all completely reasonable demands. Okay, welcome to the coalition government. Now we have a ruling coalition. We are united as Israel. Despite our political differences, we are united. And all of a sudden, the world is going to change overnight. Now, Israel's looking at, they're moving forces not just into Gaza, but they're moving forces to all their borders because they are very aware that this could spread. This could be a prelude to something else. In other words, big action in the south. Israel moves all of its forces there, and then, a huge attack from the north. We weren't ready for that. Or Iran all of a sudden comes and does something. Or, and it's all tied together, guys. The Russians, the Iranians, the North Koreans, the Palestinians, it's all tied together. This is all part of one continuous thing. So let me give you some thought candy here. The world is backing Ukraine right now and sending weapons to Ukraine. In fact, some people are speculating that one of the reasons why Israel was so hard-pressed to respond to this quickly was because they sent too many weapons to Ukraine. They didn't have enough to defend themselves adequately. So that's part of the problem, potentially. But all these weapons, all this support's going to Ukraine to fight off the Russians. The U.S. government says we're degrading Russia on the cheap. We're degrading Russia's military for essentially what is like 20% of our annual defense budget is what we've sent so far to Ukraine. So in the grand scheme of our budget, this is a pittance, which is why so many of the Rhino Republicans are like, just keep sending them a blank check. It doesn't matter. Now, if they were saying, we're not gonna spend this money on the Department of Defense, but instead we're gonna send it to Ukraine, I think a lot of Republicans wouldn't agree with that, but the spending Republicans, the fiscal conservatives, would say, okay, we're shifting money that we were going to spend anyway. That's one thing. But they're not doing that. They're demanding additional money for Ukraine. And then they're saying, now we have to also spend more money to replenish all the weapons that we send to Ukraine. So, okay, all this support is going to Ukraine to fight the Russians. The Iranians are supplying the Russians with drone technology, cheap drone tech that they can use to continue their attacks on Ukraine. The North Koreans had a big meeting with Vladimir Putin. There's rumors that the North Koreans are going to be supplying armaments, primarily shells and ammunition, to the Russian army because their stockpiles are so degraded right now. So they're going to use their slave labor in North Korea in exchange for probably gold or food or oil or whatever to supplement the Russian military there. In the meantime, now Israel is under attack. If America stands behind Israel the same way it stands behind Ukraine, now we're fighting in a two-front war, basically. We have two separate major military actions happening at the same time. Why? Oh, meanwhile, okay, I don't know which version of the story the Biden administration would rather have out in the press, because the guns that I'm seeing in the videos, guys, I haven't seen a single AK-47 yet. Not a single AK-47. In the Middle East, you're not an AK-47. They have M4s. Where the hell do they get American guns? So were these the guns you left behind in Afghanistan? Or were these the guns that we sent to Ukraine that got sold by the corrupt guys in Ukraine into Gaza? There was a report a few months back that a lot of the weapons from Afghanistan had now found their way into Gaza. So how is this happening? How are they getting American guns to go invade Israel? This makes no sense. So anyway, what is happening in Israel is it deserves wall-to-wall commercial-free coverage, what's happening right now. We literally are witnessing an escalation in potentially World War III right now that started in Ukraine and is now spreading to Israel. And the West is going to be called on to defend Israel. So Western capitals, they're giving them token support. They're projecting Israeli flags against their capital buildings and stuff. That's kind of cool. We stand with Israel. Got it. Okay, cool. But do you stand with Israel? Because they're sending their brothers and their fathers, and their uncles, into Gaza, into urban warfare, Fallujah-style urban warfare. These are not battle-hardened troops. These are reservists that did their conscription years in the Israeli military, and now they're being called up after eating donuts and pizzas for 10 years to go into Gaza and go fight some terrorists. They're going to be casualties. A lot of casualties. Probably in the thousands before we're done. With that said, I'm wondering what's the next shoe. Because obviously, as terrible as this invasion was into Israel, and the casualties and the death and everything else, as bad as this was, this is not the end of the world. Israel can respond to this. It almost seems like a feint or a distraction or something to pull, to further deplete or divide attention. Or perhaps it was time to do this before the 2024 election, because the Republican Party needs to get their heinies in gear and figure out that Donald Trump's going to be their nominee. At a minimum, they need to stop saying nasty stuff about Donald Trump. At a minimum, you stop shooting yourself in the foot. Because if he's your quarterback, you could think he's a Tom Brady a-hole, but at least he's your quarterback and you know he can throw a touchdown pass. So let the man do his job. Let him do what he's going to do. He's going to beat most, if not all, of these cases that are against him, or win him on appeal or whatever. So, and I won't go into the details about all the garbage that happened over the last week. But how many of these things can America handle at the same time? Meanwhile, Russian oil exports and diesel exports are almost back up to pre-war levels, and they're selling oil freely above the West's imposed price cap. How? They're settling all transactions in yuan and rubles. They're completely avoiding American sanctions by not dealing in the dollar. Saudi Arabia also dealing in rubles and yuan, avoiding converting the petrodollar, which is what has made America's currency the world's reserve currency. That's why we can spend boatloads of money with no consequence, is because we have the reserve currency. We have the petrodollar. If you want to buy oil, you have to change it into dollars first, then you can buy your oil. That was the deal we made with Saudi Arabia. We'll defend you with American military might. We'll make sure that the Saudi family stays in power forever. Even if you kill a few journalists, like Khashoggi guy, chop them up into trash cans and stuff, we're here for you. Now, in exchange for that, you're going to settle everything in dollars. Deal? Well, then, the royal family does, Saudi Arabia terrorist stuff to people, and all of a sudden Joe Biden's fist bumping the guy like, yeah, terrorist mother trucker. Boom, fist bump. I'm not going to shake your hand. Well, you burn this guy, and he's going to burn you back. How is he burning us back? He's cutting the oil supplies. He is causing the price of oil to go up. He is settling outside of the petrodollar. And Joe Biden's only response? Oh, we'll just tap our strategic oil reserve and drain the damn thing to keep domestic prices low for political considerations. So now the United States of America has a depleted weapons arsenal from sending all these weapons to Ukraine. We have a depleted strategic petroleum reserve. We have a dollar that is losing its global dominance as the reserve currency. It's by no means dead. It's not like, tomorrow your dollar is going to be worthless or anything like that. This takes time. De-dollarization took time to build. It will take time to get rid of. But in the meantime, now we have these little situations popping up here and there, and it's all pulling a little bit more resources and a little bit more attention. And you have to ask yourself, is this part of a larger plan? What's the objective here? And the objective is to destroy American hegemony and go to a multipolar world again, where there are regional powers that control their individual regions. America's region is its hemisphere. Not more, not much more, not much less. We're not going to be concerned about Afghanistan. We're not going to be concerned about Iraq. We're Saudi Arabia. You're going to have to really do something to get us to come to fight a battle to defend you again next time. We're going to cozy up with Iran, who is an arch enemy of Saudi Arabia, because that's not going to tick Saudi Arabia off at all. And Iran's not our friend, no matter how many billions of dollars you give them. They're not our friend. So they're going to take those billions of dollars. And the biggest line you're hearing now is, don't worry, the money that Joe Biden gave in that hostage exchange, the $6 billion, can only be used for humanitarian efforts. Okay, I'm sorry. Is the Consumer Finance Protection Division checking the receipts or something? Like, what? Whoever believes that needs to have a proctologist search for their brain. You've got the frickin' Ayatollah in an interview coming out and saying, we'll spend the $6 billion on anything we want. It's our money. He literally said that on camera. I posted the video to my Twitter feed, @ThorSchrock. You can watch him say it. So anybody who sits there and claims that the $6 billion that the U.S. transferred to Iran isn't building drones to go blow up Ukrainian soldiers or building missiles to go fire into Israel is a friggin' idiot. And I'm sorry, the time of being nice, maybe they're misrepresenting, or maybe they're misspeaking, or maybe they weren't interpreted properly. No, I'm sorry. If you're like this whatever his name was in Congress that doesn't know the difference between a door handle and a fire alarm, you're a friggin' idiot. He knows the difference. He's just trying to claim that he doesn't. He was a high school principal. He knows the difference. It said fire right on it. Because I always pull the fire button to open the door, just in case, fire the door. That's what I thought it meant, fire it open, Oh my gosh. So, in the meantime, completely unrelated, I'm sure, a story breaks in American military media, position papers, thought pieces, on the need to move away from an all-volunteer fighting force in the United States. You see, apparently, when you throw transvestite dance parties on the decks of U.S. Navy ships and, require, proper pronoun use for people in the regular military and pump them full of woke stuff about how this is wrong and that's wrong, and if they're white, they're evil. If you keep doing all that, it seems that your core recruiting groups of conservative people from the Midwest and the South tend not to want to join the military anymore because it doesn't stand for what it used to stand for anymore. We can't meet recruiting goals. We're 20,000 soldiers down for the Army. Well, maybe it's time we go away from an all-volunteer fighting force and move to a more Israeli-like model where there is a conscription, where you're required to serve X number of years in the military as part of being a citizen. And then you're dismissed from your service. You fulfilled your service obligation, but you can be called up as a reservist after that point. The resumption of the draft. Literally a position paper on the resumption of the draft. I'm sure it's completely unrelated. Completely. We might need a lot of soldiers for some reason. Oh, another position paper on how the United States is shifting the focus of its military development and deployment away from special forces. They're cutting funding for special forces operations, which were predominantly used in the Middle East for targeted hits on terrorist hideouts, killing Osama bin Laden, blowing up an Iranian general, all that special forces stuff. Well, we're going to cut money from the special forces and use that money to develop mass force, like World War style mass force in anticipation of a conflict with China. Guys, this is scary because if I'm China, if China's going to do something with Taiwan, if they're going to do it, now is the time to do it. Right now. While Joe Biden is in office, he ain't going to do jack about it. America's attention is diverted. America's finances are in turmoil. America's government is full of indecision. You know what? Now is the time we should go after Taiwan. I hope it doesn't happen. But if you were going to do it in the near future, now is the time to do it. If they don't do it right now, I don't think they're going to do it in the next decade. But if they do it right now, could you imagine? All of a sudden, you're probably glad you bought that holiday special because it'll be the last motherboard we can get for a while. They tried to open up chip factories in America, and guess what? They can build the factories, they can put the equipment in. The Biden administration was getting a little uppity with these Taiwanese manufacturing companies for not getting these factories operational, and the factories responded by saying, well, we'd love to. Your workers are too stupid to work in the friggin' factories. They can't make microchips because they're dumb. They're dumb. They don't have any education for this. Our education system is screwed. So I had Millard Sprinkler come out to give me a quote on sprinklers at my house because our grass is all dying and we have a weed infestation. And my wife and I got out there with the Roundup, and I mean, we just went scorched earth. Anything that was a weed we killed. So we have these giant dead patches, garbage patches of just deadness in the yard. The turf is all alive, the weeds are all dead. Next year we're going to scrape them all off the top. We're going to lay grass seed in the spring. But if you don't have sprinklers, you literally have to go out and water it 3 times a day. So we're going to get sprinklers put in. So we get a quote for sprinklers. The guy that's quoting the sprinklers is saying the people that they're employing to install the sprinkler systems, they do about 10 yards a day, he says. The people that they're employing to do that, I'm not going to suggest they're not citizens because I don't know that. I haven't met them. I don't know them. I'm just going to say they're manual laborers, so my inclination would be that they are likely not skilled laborers, right? They're not like carpenters or computer programmers, but their starting wage for manual laborers is $25 to $35 an hour to put in sprinklers, to dig a trench, drop a hose in it, put a sprinkler head on it. Now, if it was so easy, I'm sure I could do it. All right. But if you do it all day long, I mean, I suppose I could do it if I did it all day long. So, and then you bury it again, and you got sprinklers. So, $25 to $30 an hour for sprinkler installation. Our economy is in deep doo-doo, guys. This jobs report that came out, the Biden administration's so happy about it. Oh my God, read the details, man. We lost 1.7 million full-time jobs in the last jobs report. We added 2.2 million part-time jobs, and the number of multiple job holders went through the roof. The Babylon Bee ran a headline that says the Biden economy is so good, anybody who wants a job has 2. It's great. It's not great, and it's going to get worse. There's rumors that we have another major bank failure on the horizon. These are the times I wish I still had that afternoon show on KFAB, guys. There's so much to discuss. There's so much, and you wonder on a radio station in Nebraska if you're just wasting your time talking about it, because, great. If everyone that is listening in Nebraska says, I agree 100%, that and $5 will get me a Starbucks, It's like, huh. But to see what's happening, it makes me worry. I have a 17-year-old at home. Makes me worry about him. I have a 5-year-old at home. Makes me worry about him. No one's taking Katie to war. Now, Katie would be a true battlefield terror, let me tell you. You throw some Doritos at the end of the line and some chicken nuggets, and I mean, that girl will go through fire for that stuff. But Katie at war. So Katie's always at war. But it makes me, genuinely, I don't want to sound cliche, but it makes me fear for my children. That they're going to be called on to fight some god-awful war. I haven't been carrying I have a concealed carry permit. I just haven't been carrying lately. I've been dropping some weight, and I've had my smaller pants on and everything, and there's not a lot of room in there anymore for a gun, and the clothes are tighter on me now. So, if I wear it at work, customers walk in and like, why is Thor got a gun on him? Jeez, you don't want to make customers uncomfortable, things like that. So I haven't been carrying as much anymore. But then you see something like this happen in Israel, where it was completely normal one day, and the next day it's not. Oh, it gets way worse. By the way, you're hearing about everything that's happening on the southern border with Gaza right now, of the infiltration of the border. Did you know that all of the mosques across the entire country of Israel broadcasted from their loudspeakers that now is the time to rise up against your Israeli neighbors and kill them? And Muslims across Israel responded to the call. They're getting up and killing their neighbors today. What the hell? In Alexandria, in Egypt, a Muslim soldier opened fire and killed 4 Israeli tourists. They were just tourists in Egypt, in Alexandria. Just killed them because his mosque said it was time to kill Israelis. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, 23andMe has encountered a breach. It appears that somebody stole a whole bunch of genetic profiles from the 23andMe database. And then they sorted those profiles to pull anyone with Jewish heritage into one database. And they're selling that database on the dark web. Why on earth would you want to sell a database of people with Jewish lineage? What possible reason could you want for that data, or could you have for that data? What row? Yeah, Rutrow is right. Not just their genetic profiles, but their names and their addresses too? Oh, yay! It's a hit list. Because of your genetics. Because maybe your great-great-grandfather was Jewish. You might not even be Jewish, but maybe they were Jewish. You're not living in Israel. Maybe you're living in France. Maybe you're living in America. Maybe you live in Brazil. But you're on the list. Congratulations. I'm sure it's completely unrelated. I'm telling you guys, the world around us is degrading quickly. The time to be prepared for unexpected things is now. To the extent you can. I'm not saying go full, Montana cabin in the woods or anything, but the time to be ready to respond is now. This is not the time to stop carrying. What was the other? Oh yeah, the guy. If you saw this week, there was a video of the Democrat left-wing activist who was murdered by a mentally disturbed guy on the street. So this guy's like a Black Lives Matter activist. And this black guy, is kicking over mopeds, walking down the street kicking over mopeds while this activist and his girlfriend are sitting on a park bench together, or on a bench on the side of the street, like a bus stop. I don't know they're sitting on a bench at night. I don't know why you do that in New York or wherever the hell they were. And he's kicking over mopeds, just doing stupid stuff. And they get up and start to walk away. And the guy turns on him and he's like, "What are you looking at?" He's like, "I'll kill you." And the guy's like, the activist guy's like, "Chill, man, chill out, man, just calm down." Because giving orders to a deranged guy with a knife always ends well. He gets stabbed several times. One of the stabs goes right through his heart. And he lays on the ground, he gets knocked to the ground, and he dies. After the attack is over, the woman he was with, who literally watched her date get murdered on the concrete by a mentally deranged person, started a GoFundMe. But her GoFundMe wasn't for the family of the dead guy, wasn't to pay for his funeral expenses. It wasn't even for the guy, the deranged guy, to get him mental help. She started a GoFundMe for her and her friends that all knew him, because in today's America, we can't even afford to take time off to properly mourn. She started a GoFundMe to pay for vacation time so she could properly mourn for herself. I'm just looking at the world right now and shaking my head, thinking, I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that this guy, they even went so far as to say the guy who got killed would have empathized with his killer, would have understood that his death was just the result of years of oppression and blah, 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 blah. The same thing, like you have a left-wing newspaper in Israel today reporting that, you know, you can't imprison 2 million people and expect things like this not to happen, referring to imprisoning Gaza. Well, imprisoning, they're going to take Gaza. Like, they're going to invade it, they're going to get into the tunnels, they're going to kill anyone who is even remotely in their way. This is a war now. The rules are different. A formal declaration of war, you attempt to avoid civilian casualties in war, but you are under no obligation to avoid them at all costs. If there are terrorists in a building and you blow up the building and some civilians are in the building as well, that's what you're going to hear about in the news, the civilians that died. You're not going to hear about all the Hamas terrorists and rocket launchers on the roof that got blown up. But Israel is in a I'm not screwing around kind of moment right now. They're bulldozing their own police stations to kill terrorists that are inside of them. They're freeing hostages that are being held in their homes right now. I mean, it is so unbelievably awful what is happening in Israel right now, and this is a fundamental 9/11 style flip of Israeli culture. Like, Israel is at war, and they don't have the people and the manpower and the resources to screw around. They're going to fix the problem in the most expeditious way possible with the fewest number of Israeli casualties as possible. And if that necessitates additional Palestinian casualties, that's the cost of war. I'm sorry. Collateral damage. We didn't ask for this fight. I'm not saying that it's cool. I'm not saying that people deserve to die. There's a lot of Palestinians who are just regular people too. They're not out there yelling, death to Israel or anything like that. But there are Palestinians in the streets right now that are slapping 10-year-old Israeli kids with riding crops, parading them around in the street for the cameras to show them that they have a hostage. This makes me sick. All right, I'm sorry. I've been on my soapbox for quite a while here. For 42 minutes, I need to stop. Let me get into the comments real quick and see what you guys have to say. All right, Richard's here. Thor, what is better for making music, laptop or a desktop? For making music, it doesn't really matter. Of course, with a desktop, you can have a better sound card, but most sound cards today are all going to be high enough quality for making music at home. And you can hook up speakers to the headphone jack on the laptops or USB ports even. So you can set up an external sound card if you need a better sound card. So I would say the laptop would probably be better. It's going to be more portable. It's going to have a better solution for you. The storage is about the same. The desktop is going to be more upgradable. So it depends what you're going to do. If you're building a studio to make music, then put a desktop in it, because over time you're going to upgrade that desktop or you're going to add features to it. If you're doing this at home as a hobby and you want something portable, go with the laptop so that you can put it wherever you're making music when you choose to make the music. Morning, Gene. Roger's back. Thanks for the audio check, Winston. I suppose I should have checked that first. Wouldn't it have been awful if I was talking for 43 minutes and nobody heard anything I said? I got to do it again? All right. Hello, Aaron. The beginning of the regular Compute This show said Shrek desk. It did? That's funny. I love autocorrect. I'll fix it when I go back and edit it. Let's see. Took care of the dog's chores. Glad I didn't miss anything. The dog's chores. All right. Good morning, Marion. Aaron says Hezbollah is firing on Israel from Lebanon right now, according to Fox News. Oh, yeah. It's been going on all night. Like I said, the Iron Dome, it looked like it gave a missile command, which just... I mean, at any point, there was 7 or 8 explosions, like pop, 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 pop. And each explosion was them intercepting a missile. Who knows how many got through? Morning, Mark. Thor, video audio is much better than than the regular show? Is there something different in the equipment or settings? No, there's not. The only thing that's different is during the regular show, I've taken to recording it while I am broadcasting it. That shouldn't have any impact on video quality. The other thing, trying to think if there's any other possible. The only other difference is the audio is coming through the camera microphone and not the KFAB system microphone. So that would explain some audio differences, but not video. So yeah, I'm not sure. It could just be Facebook. I don't know. Facebook is squirrely. Oh, okay. Kibbutz are a little village. I'm like, I didn't know what it was. I was like, is it like a grocery store chain? Like, I need to go to the kibbutz and get some milk, or get some kosher meat. I don't know what you get at a kibbutz. Let's see. Here we go. Good morning, Ed. Aaron says, I think it's Biden's fault. All the appeasement he's been doing, he's worse than Neville Chamberlain. It's really tempting to immediately turn this into a political I told you so moment for the left. And there will be a time to do that. There will be a time for accountability. Right now, though, and that accountability will come as a natural consequence of actions. Instability. Okay, so let's say in the middle of all this now, Iran decides to mine the Strait of Hormuz. Let's say that they shut down the oil routes, and we have an oil shock. Well, now we can't produce oil like we used to. We don't have the ability to flex and frack our way out of it. So you're going to see gas prices go parabolic if this escalates. It's going to have a direct impact on United States inflation. If China takes Taiwan and we respond, forget all the Chinese imports. Why do you think we got all the hard drives and things when we did? Because we ordered like 5,000 of them, guys. We may not be able to order them for years again, depending on what happens geopolitically. We need to be prepared for that. Well, holy cow. You think U.S. inflation is going to go down if we have to start making everything here on Etsy? Like antibiotics? I bit my antibiotics on Etsy. It's going to be crazy. Crazy inflation. Crazy lack of demand for the dollar. The bond market is is crushing banks right now. There's rumors that another major bank is going to be going down here next week, another regional bank. I'm seeing, and I've been seeing this for a while, a lot of it's the doom and gloom, the doom porn people, posting their stuff, but that the banks will close for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. All banks might close 2 or 3 weeks in the event of a major market shock to prevent everybody, to stop everything so the shock can settle before they reopen again. Or maybe we move to a central bank digital currency at that point, or we devalue the dollar at that point if there's a major event that causes a financial problem. So, have some money at home, guys. Have some cash, like $20 bills. Not hundreds, not 50s, because people don't take those anymore. $20 bills, $10 bills. As much as you can afford to have a reasonable amount at home. Be prepared with an emergency fund if you can. Be prepared. Don't have just a week's worth of food in your house. If you can afford to, shop for a month at a time on certain key staples that aren't going to go bad. Stuff. I'm saying go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Get prepped up. Whatever. Buy stuff you're going to use. So if you go through 12 rolls of paper towels in a month, go buy the 24-pack. Have a couple months of paper towels. It's not a big deal. You're going to spend $5 or $6 more, $10 more. You'll have double the paper towels, and you won't have to buy them next month. It's money you were going to spend anyway, but you're just choosing to spend it now instead of later, because unfortunately things aren't going to get any cheaper now than they are later. That's one of the reasons I bought my Mustang when I did. It would have been a lot easier to wait until 2025 when the Mustangs were all widely available and I didn't have to pay a premium over sticker to get one. But my argument was, I think I'm going to spend $5,000 more next year than I will this year anyway, because of inflation, because of price increases. Oh my gosh, I'm buying Ford stock hand over fist right now. I put in a whole bunch of buys going down, 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 and every single day they hit a new low. It's been like 7 or 8 days in a row Ford stock has been diving over this UAW garbage. But I've scooped up, I think I doubled my position in Ford over the last 4 days. And I'm just like, well, you know what? Yeah, it looks real bad right now because every time I buy it, it drops like a quarter, 25 cents, which is like I think it's down like 6 or 8% in the last week. But boy, every time it goes down, I get another 10 shares. I'm not spending a ton of money every time, but I'm accumulating a position while there's blood in the water because it's on sale. People are still going to buy cars at some point. The UAW is going to get a contract at some point. They're going to get a significant raise. It's going to cost Ford more money. Therefore, Ford is going to have to raise prices. That's how the world works. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's also a major medical strike going on in the United States right now because apparently the people providing medical services in this one union feel like they need to be better compensated for what they're doing. Healthcare costs are through the roof right now. We just got our Blue Cross Blue Shield renewal, and they're like, congratulations, this year it's only going up 5%, which is half of what it went up last year. So at first I was like, okay, 5%, it's not the end of the world, okay. And the only thing that's changing about the plan is the deductible's going up by 15%. What? The individual and the family deductible is going up 15%? So I have to spend 15% more. I have to spend basically $10,000 on medical stuff in a year before I get anything from my insurance? For anything? I mean, I'm paying $30 for an antibiotic right now, guys. Remember when Walmart had $4 prescriptions? I don't know, 2 years ago? Remember 2 years ago when gas was $1.74 a gallon? Remember 2 years ago when home interest rates were 2.75%? Remember a few years, do I need to go on? Thomas is back. Good to have you, buddy. Aaron says, oh my gosh, I'm worried something like this could happen here with all the people coming over the border. Yeah, Aaron, that's what I'm saying. Just imagine. Because yesterday or 2 days ago in Israel, there was a squirrely border with the risk of a terrorist attack there the whole time, but there was calm. It was a stable, risky situation. Right now, the southern border is a stable, risky situation. It won't take much for that to change. Do you know that in New York, when this all happened in Israel, they doubled the security or strengthened the security around all synagogues and Jewish community centers? Because they were worried that we might have infiltrators inside of America that would attack Jewish people in America in conjunction with this assault. So there was a terrorist alert looking for people who might target Jewish facilities in New York. So yeah, it's totally not beyond the realm of possibility that this could be extended to America or something similar could happen in America. Right now, it's just that the business interests of the cartels are preventing it from happening. If those business interests happen to change, things could be a very different story. Paragliders, it almost sounds like a scene from Red Dawn. Yeah, and it does. You just see these specks coming on the horizon, and you see it's a lawn chair with a freaking machine gun pointed at it. And they just flew into this rave. They were targeting this party with all these young people. And yeah, okay, you're young, you're partying, you're dancing for world peace. Okay, whatever, you're a kid, you don't know anything about anything. Like your dance party for world peace is going to make a difference. But whatever, yay for you for wanting world peace. That's cool. And then paragliders come in and mow you down with American-made guns from lawn chairs from space. What in the actual hell is that? All of a sudden, these young people got a lesson, and this is how the world is. And you can want it to be something different. We all want it to be something different. We don't want war. This is going to be truly awful. This is going to be truly awful for anyone living in Gaza. This is going to be truly awful for everybody in Israel. This is going to be truly awful for families who lose their fathers and their husbands and their uncles and their sons and daughters. This is going to be truly awful for a lot of people. War is not romantic. War is not a glory. War is pain and sacrifice and death and just an injury and at an unbelievable scale. Yeah. Brian, so great that we released billions of dollars to Iran to fund even more of this kind of thing. I know it isn't direct, but money is fungible. Well, it absolutely is fungible. And okay, so we sent a lot of our old, outdated weapons to Ukraine, right? They're shooting them at Russians, whatever. And then we're supposedly replacing them with modern, high-tech weapons, okay? These are going to be great. Better guns. Well, maybe this is Hamas getting rid of all their old rockets, because now they're going to get these Shahed drones and everything else from Iran, because Iran has the money to produce them and distribute them. Maybe this means that Gaza's going to get a tech upgrade, and they had to get rid of all their old stuff first. Not to be a pessimist, but you don't push all this along and not expect to get resupplied. Just saying. Just between us, how does this happen? Israel is very secure and fortified, but this still happened. This may spark World War III, Ken asks. Well, that's one of the questions I have, too. Israel's intelligence services are unparalleled in the world, and they didn't know this was coming. America, all the money we spend on intelligence, maybe if we were a little less busy going after freaking Donald Trump with the CIA and the FBI, maybe they would have had time to do their job. Sorry, I almost let something slip there. Do their job and know that this kind of thing is happening. I hate to consider the potential alternative that maybe the reason Israel didn't know this was coming was because we knew it was coming and we didn't say anything. I would certainly hope that's not the case. Just saying. I just hope it's not the case. This is probably the Archduke Ferdinand moment that Glenn Beck talks about. Yeah. The attack on Israel is probably going to be considered the start of World War III. I don't know. I think it's tough, guys, because world wars are always, you pinprick the start after the war is underway, right? When did this all start? What caused all this? And then you go back and look at all the events. But I think Russia invading the Ukraine, Russia will say it was NATO expansion that caused it, and going back and back and back and back. But I think the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the worldwide response to that, some people might say it started with the pandemic, where America funded the research in the Wuhan lab that created coronavirus. It's kind of ironic that Fauci is the guy that made the coronavirus, that made COVID-19, and he was the guy tasked with defeating COVID-19. Doubt me? Do the research. Do the research at what USAID did and how they moved the money and why it moved to China when it did and why it moved to the Wuhan lab specifically. Yeah, it all adds up. And it'll come out eventually. History has got a way of doing that. But yeah, so America funded. Without America, you don't have COVID-19. Hate to say it. Without China, you don't have COVID-19. Without American money going to Chinese biolabs, which, what the hell? Why are we even doing that? You don't have COVID-19. So some people would say that World War III started with COVID-19. The restrictions, the supply chain interruptions, all the stresses it imposed on the system, the bonds blowing up, the banking system stress from all the inflation, from the money that was printed. That could have been the original destabilizing factor that allowed everything to change. Could have been the Ukraine war. It could have been the 2020 U.S. election. Where did you know that if you ask your Amazon A-word device, I didn't want to say it, set everybody's off. It was the 2020 election stolen. I don't know if it's still doing it, but it gets a lot of its data not only from YouTube, but from Rumble. And so Rumble is where all the conservatives post stuff because Rumble will allow you to post things that are asking actual legitimate questions about things. So Alexa will tell you that the 2020 election was stolen, that there was widespread fraud in multiple urban areas that resulted in fraudulent votes that tipped the key races in the Democrats' favor and allowed Joe Biden to become president. I don't know if they have fixed that yet because you can't say that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, Amazon Alexa, the AI will tell you, oh hell yeah, it was stolen. You're like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Even the AI knows. Even ChatGPT knows. It's crazy. Oh, let's see. Peace and God's mercy upon Israel. Absolutely, Marla. Absolutely. The only thing that we can do right now is pray. The only thing we can do right now is to support Israel in our thoughts, in our prayers, and just really think about the people over there that are suffering, that are going through this. I can't imagine having somebody enter your home and watching your kid get killed in front of your eyes, wondering if your other children are next, having your little kids ask you if their sister's going to come back to life after she's been shot and killed, and mom has to tell her no, she's not coming back. I can't imagine. Where's Joe, Ken? He did give a speech yesterday. I didn't listen to it because my outrage pool is a little limited, and I'm sure he was going to say the boilerplate thing, which I read his statement, and it was very boilerplate. It was nothing like Trump's statement. It was nothing like DeSantis' statement. It wasn't even like Vivek's statement. It was a very boilerplate. We stand with Israel. We're going to back Israel, whatever it needs, kind of statement. Didn't take any questions, turned around and walked out of the room because, Joe. So, yeah. I'm required to go make a comment about this. So put up on the teleprompter whatever you want me to read, and then I will say that, and then I'll walk out of the room. The end. This isn't his wake-up time yet. Thor, church broadcast coming across, headset plugged in. Oh, you can still hear the church going on over here? Hold on a second. Yep, there was a headset plugged in. Sorry about that. All right. Iran sponsors Hamas. Iran, who sponsors Hamas, is also going to have to be made to pay too. Well, that's the thing. Who's going to make Iran pay? Who? Is Israel going to make Iran pay? Israel's got some things to worry about right now. In fact, Israel was talking a big game about saying if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, that way we're going to destroy it, with or without America's help, with a direct attack on Iran. So maybe it's in Iran's best interest if they degrade Israel's military a little bit. Israel has given a bunch of weapons to Ukraine. Now they're going to use more weapons to go invade Gaza. And then they're going to get Hezbollah coming at them from the north. That'll take some more activity. In the meantime, Iran has a free hand to do whatever it needs to do. You have the Taliban, who we gave Afghanistan to, are offering if intervening countries between Afghanistan and Israel open their borders and allow Taliban soldiers to pass through, the Taliban would be happy to conquer Israel for Hamas. They literally said that publicly. Let our soldiers through, and we'll conquer Israel for you. They'll probably just drive those American Humvees right over to Israel. Oh, they didn't even get Joe up until 9 a.m. yesterday, according to Joe. I think he actually mentioned yesterday during his announcement about the attack. Probably started 6 to 8 hours before. Yeah. Well, what can the president do about it? I mean, he's got a staff for this kind of thing, right? I'm sure it's fine. Ken, this could have been Chicago, New York City, D.C., Strategic Air Commander, Omaha. You can't convince me that our untouchable USA security did not know what was going to happen or tried to prevent this. If their government security and intelligence forces have that many vulnerabilities, then we are next and we are screwed. Well, that's the thing. We have this notion that there is this massive invisible force protecting us. That we have these oceans that protect us, that we have this American humongous governmental apparatus that's here to protect us. And then if something does go wrong, we've got this humongous government apparatus called FEMA to take care of us and help us. And I'm telling you guys, be prepared to help yourself. Be prepared to defend your family. Saw somebody post online, hey, Joe Biden, this right here, what's happening in Israel, this is why we have AR-15s in America. Like all these people in Israel, they can be called up to action, but you're telling me they don't have guns in their house? I don't know, maybe they're illegal, I don't know. I don't know what Israeli gun laws are like, if they have to show up to the armory to pick up their gun to go report to duty or how this works. But you got to be telling me that no one has a weapon in their home. Okay, all of a sudden Hezbollah's coming to town like freaking evil Santa, and nobody's shooting back? There was an aid worker who reported normally they respond to rocket attacks, and those are mostly shrapnel injuries. He said, but by large part, we're now responding to gunshot injuries, shots to the gut, shots to the chest, shots to the peripheries. He goes, we're seeing people who are injured by shrapnel and then shot after that. So the rockets knocked them down, and then the ground troops came in and finished them off. So we have multiple injuries. He goes, and then their teams that are driving ambulances are being targeted. So they had one first responder that was literally shot through the windshield of his ambulance driving a patient to a hospital. Because it's like, literally, there are Hamas guys in the friggin' bushes. I mean, this is like you're walking down the street and somebody pops out of your neighbor's bushes with an M4 and shoots you in the chest. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would happen to the American political apparatus if this happened in America? I don't think there'd be anybody who doesn't want to see special forces pushed across the border into Mexico then. Forget special forces, regular forces. Mexico can complain about it all they want. What are you going to do? You can't even stop cartel people. You think you're going to stop us? What are you going to do? Do not get in the way. That's where Israel's at right now. Do not get in the way. Because we won't hold back. We're not going to stop shooting. In fact, they've cut all power to all of Gaza. Remember how I said they provide the power and Gaza just never pays the bill? The Palestinians never pay? Well, they just shut down power to the entire Gaza Strip yesterday. No hospitals, no water treatment plants, no sewage plants, nothing for anybody. It's all shut down. I mean, they are not screwing around. And there are going to be civilian casualties. They all but said it. They said, if you're near Hamas, get away. They gave you 12 hours to get away from Hamas. If you didn't do it, sorry. If you didn't know Hamas was in your building, sorry. We did. They're sending text messages to people before the bombs hit, telling them to get out of the building, to civilians. If you didn't respond to the text message, sorry, we're not required to send you a pop-up notification on your phone before the missile hits, but we did because we're not evil bastards. We don't want to kill innocent people like you guys, but if it's unavoidable, unfortunately, it's unavoidable. But we're going to do our best to avoid it. It'll be interesting to see what the VIX looks like tomorrow. Yeah, Ron, we were already in such a downturn. This could be a tipper right here, for sure. South Korea, in South Korea, you have to serve just like Israel does. I imagine so. I didn't even think about South Korea. Maybe that meeting with North Korea had more to do with than just providing Russia with munitions. Maybe they were like, hey, it's time for you to turn up the heat on South Korea a little bit. Could you imagine that happening right now, too? Job report, 79,000 of them were government employees. 79,000 of the full-time jobs they added were government employees? Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, I wish you were on the KFAB show, too. Not digging the current one. You shared some eye-opening insights today. Well, thank you, Jan. You know, Emory is really getting comfortable in the position. You know, I remember the first few shows I did, I was so nervous, and the shows that I did at the beginning, even just 2 weeks in, were way different than the shows I was doing at the end. Thank you for giving him some time to get comfortable in the seat and adjusting to being in a new city. I can't imagine going to a new city, doing all the things he's doing. And he's just a very different person than I am. You know, we're friends on Facebook, and I get to see a lot of his personal stuff. And you know, he's very much in the indie music scene and things like that. Just things that I'm just not. I got a cheap thrill yesterday because I took my Mustang on an undisclosed, unused, but residential street. It's a new neighborhood they're putting in, right? There's no houses, there's no street signs, there's no traffic, but there's a beautiful straight strip right down the middle of the neighborhood. No speed bumps yet. And it's slightly uphill, so in one direction, you know, 0 to 60 was a little slow, and the other direction it was really fast. So, but yeah, that's my cheap thrills. I got to do a 0 to 60 in my new Mustang, okay? As I was punching it, it's the first one I've ever done in my life, okay? So I'm punching this thing, and the rear end of my Mustang is like, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And it kind of freaked me out. I took my foot off the gas pedal. I'm like, I don't want to lose it and crash my Mustang. But that screwed up my time. So now that I know it's just a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle on the shift, I just got to power through it. Next time I'll have a better time. I think I did, going uphill it was 5.01 seconds, and going downhill it was 4.69 seconds. And there was the second one was downhill, so I was a little bit more ready for it then. But it wiggled in the middle that time. I got through all the initial wiggles, and then when it was up, the tack went up to 7,000 RPM before it shifted. And when it shifted down and sent all that power to the wheels, it was just like, I'm like, oh shoot, because the road, it's a construction road, so it's got like dirt and dust and stuff on it. It's not a clean road. So anyway, I digress. But that's my cheap thrill, right? So. You know, what I do for fun and what Emory does for fun are completely different. But no, I miss it too. You know, I wish I could have done it. There was just no way I could have done that time slot. I asked them to split the time slot up, but it was something. I'm asking the radio station to change the programming to accommodate my schedule. I mean, come on, diva. And I need my Aquafina chilled to 33.4 degrees. You know, remove the label from the bottle, please, before you hand that to me. Don't hand that to me, actually. Put it in a can koozie and set it on the table. You know? Come on, diva, what do you want? I just couldn't do it. So someday, maybe in the future, it'll be in the cards. But right now I had a holiday special to plan, so I didn't have time. David says, I miss you on afternoons and KFAB as well. Oh, well, thank you, David. I appreciate your kind words. Like I said, I know what Emery's doing is different than what I did. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just different. And it probably resonates. I know other people who like what he's doing. So, I get it. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but that's how radio goes. It's very difficult to please everybody all the time. But yeah, he's definitely growing. He's growing on me. I listened to him more than I did before. In fact, it was kind of funny because we're starting to restart all of our endorsements for the fourth quarter. So we got Gary Saddlemeyer. I sent in a request. We got on the cat. We've got Steve Lundy doing them again. He's been a Schrock customer for years. We're added Gary Saddlemeyer this year, who is an expensive guy to get. I mean, he never has an opening, but when he does, you pay in blood through the nose, but he's worth it. And then we said, well, give me a quote on Emery, because I don't know that he has any sponsors yet. And my thought was, I know that afternoon slot's got Schrock listeners, so that could be cool. And then I'll get Emery, and maybe we'll get him at a good price. Well, they wanted just as much for Emery as they did for Gary Saddlemeyer. And so I said, well, if I'm going to pay the same price, I'll take Gary, just because, Gary is Gary, right? And I'm not saying Emery is not good. I'm just saying that I don't know that he's Gary Saddlemeyer, It's like, he ain't Tom Brady, but, he's not, on the injured reserve list either. If they would have given me a reasonable price for him, I would have added him too, but they didn't. So it's the marketing department. They gotta see what the market will bear. All right, I would like to see the first draftees come from the families of congressmen and senators. Yeah, well, I think what they're talking about, Ronald, is requiring conscription of all citizens. So, on or around your 18th birthday, you're required to enlist in a military branch of your choice for a 2-year tour, where you will serve 2 years full-time in the military before you go on to college and do other things with your life. So it would be a required conscription service. Peacetime, wartime, doesn't matter. I think that's what they're talking about doing, or what the position paper suggested we should do. In order to grow a fighting force sufficient to fight a significant ground war campaign, because we don't have that right now. And like I said, the Army's 20,000 soldiers in the hole right now. They can't fill the ranks because you're making them take COVID injections that blow up their hearts. You're making them do all kinds of woke training. You're making flight suits for pregnant people. I mean, come on. There's nothing wrong with that. You're 6 months pregnant. Let's put you under high G pressure in an airplane, okay? I'm not saying a woman can't handle it. What I'm saying is, they told pregnant women not to ride a roller coaster, but you're going to put them in an F-16 or an F-35? What the hell? How could that possibly be good for a pregnant woman or the baby? It's not a matter of discrimination. It's a matter of common sense. Why would you do that? Now, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe there's some element of science of the female anatomy that I'm not aware of. That's entirely possible. I give you that possibility. But just on the face of it, engaging the gray matter tells me that's stupid. Why would you do that? Just saying. Why would you take a pregnant woman and put her on a football field? Even as a kicker. Why would you do that? That's stupid. You just wouldn't do that. We make pads for pregnant people now. Why would you do that? I don't know. Because you can. Oh, let's see. Brian responding to the jobs report. That I can believe that 79,000 of them were government employees. There's hiring going on in the federal government at a new level. Turning temporary employees into permanent full-time ones expensive because that means benefits too. Oh, yeah, I bet. Aaron Thor, the illegals are coming over the border. I read it's more than just migrants coming over the border. Where are these people coming from? Well, a lot of them are coming from Venezuela, but they're coming not just from South America. That's the big conception here, misconception, is that a lot of them are just coming from South America. But we're seeing people from Africa, we're seeing people from Ukraine, we're seeing people from the Middle East, people from around the world know that you can get in through the southern border. We're seeing fighting age male Chinese soldiers, all with unified tattoos. So they have the same tattoo, they're wearing the same clothes, with the same haircuts, and they're crossing the southern border. So either they're just really, really in touch with style of what Chinese migrants, how they style themselves, or they're a military unit, or they're a gang. Take your pick. And they're just crossing the southern border. So that was so confusing this week with Mayorkas coming out and saying that there was a immediate and acute need for a border wall, and then Joe Biden having to backpedal, and then Mayorkas suddenly having to backpedal on it. That was so weird, right? Like this week it didn't make sense. I was like, who is running the ship over there? They don't even know what right hand and left hand doesn't know what the other one's doing over there right now. This is crazy. Been here all along. Great news show, better than TV news. Well, thank you, Mitch. You know, it's part of it that I saw somebody point out is the centralized media is using decentralized information to inform their centralized audiences. So while we've been doing this show, Israel Today has pushed 8 updates on Telegram. Amir has pushed 7 updates on Telegram, and the Kiev Post has pushed 2 updates on their Telegram channel. So Israel, since we've been on the air, Israel man returns home in the Gaza periphery to find the bodies of dead Hamas forces strewn along the road into his village following intense gun battles. He's just driving by dead bodies, and there's video. I'm not going to show you the video, but Israel sending Arabic language messages to residents of Gaza, warning them to move away from areas where Hamas is operating. Hamas sent out its own message that no one is to move or to open messages sent to Israel, which the terror group claims is just trying to sow fear. So you human shields will remain in place at the risk of your own death. Scenes from the beginning of the Hamas attacks on the Nature Music Festival in southern Israel. The partygoers cannot believe what is happening. And it's another video of what happened there. Oh my God. This is currently unverified. But this is a video going viral on Palestinian social media showing Israeli children who were abducted in the Gaza Strip yesterday being held in cages. It looks like a kennel, like a veterinarian's office. I don't know if you can see that. It's an unverified video of what's happening right now. And this is the kind of stuff you get on Telegram. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Got to wait for verification. But you can see these things happening in real time. With such videos, the Palestinians hope to sow despair among the Israelis, but ultimately they unite us to keep together and fight. Keep such images in mind when the Israeli response reaches full strength and the international community begins to howl why we're doing it. Hamas gunmen and supporters encounter an IDF outpost and besiege a young Israeli soldier holed up in a safe room. Israel ambassador to the UN in an interview with Fox News reminds America that tens of the Israelis being held hostage in Gaza are U.S. citizens. Haven't heard anything out of Joe Biden about that either, have we? A hero, Colonel Rabbi Jiva Rapp, head of a pre-military training camp, took a bullet to the nose, was treated in the field, and returned to the front lines. They shot him through the nose. Police nab a Hamas terrorist outside a town and have to physically restrain furious local residents from taking revenge. So these citizens are trying to beat the cops. There's a dog going after the guy that's arresting the terrorist, and they're having to push back the local population of Palestinians as they grab the Hamas terrorist. Oh wait, outside the town. No, this is in an Israeli town. Furious local. Oh, I misunderstood. The police are not defending the people aren't attacking the police. The furious people on the dog are going after the terrorist that they're trying to arrest. Sorry, misinterpreted that one. Amir, let's see. Israeli Air Forces continue his attack in Gaza right now. American citizens in Egypt should exercise discretion and take greater precautions, says the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. All of our enemies have opened their mouths against us. Panic and pitfall have befallen us. Devastation and destruction. My eyes run down with streams of water because of the destruction of the daughter of my people. My eyes pour down unceasingly, without stopping. That means unceasingly. With the Lord looking down and saying, I call on your name, O Lord, blah, blah. I mean, just people posting prayers, like they're praying on Telegram. Let's see. Then Kiev Post is reporting about people dying in Israel, and 2 Ukrainian citizens were also killed in the attack on Israel. So there you have it. That was the update since we went on the air, guys. So that's the kind of stuff you can find on Telegram. Just do a search on Google or Duck. Search for Israel Telegram channel, and you'll find different channels, and you can click on them. They open up in an app called Telegram. If you like what you're seeing in the app, you can click Join Room, and then literally it'll just, when you open up Telegram, it has all the updates of everybody, what they're talking about. You can follow along. All right, so call for questions. Anybody got questions, comments, concerns, anything related to this or anything else we talked about on the show as well? Let me know, because we're approaching an hour and 20 here, so we're going to have to wrap it pretty quick. Aaron, could those other migrants be from countries that want to attack us, like what happened in Israel? Could be. We don't know. We just don't know. That's the sad part. Julie, Compute This was the best ever today. I learned so much. Aftershock is great. Well, thank you, Julie. I really appreciate that. I get compliments on the Aftershock all the time. I never get compliments on Compute This. And I try to keep that pretty focused, because if I just go diarrhea of the mouth for the whole show like I do here, well, I'd run out of time pretty quick, and I wouldn't say everything we need to say. But the holiday special laptop is the real deal, guys. It is the real friggin' deal this year. I don't know if we're going to make it out of November on that. I mean, we sell till we're sold out, but yeah, we don't even have the full 150 in stock. Like, we're still waiting for deliveries. We have about half of it in stock. And every day we're getting more. We have monitors coming in, we have computers coming in, we have memory coming in. Next week when we do the holiday special desktop, that one's going to crack your skull open. Like, when I compare it to last year's holiday special desktop, even the lovely Kimberly, I sent her the specs for the catalog, and she was like, Thor, everything is like double last year. Is that right? I was like, yep. There's no memory upgrades this year. You can't add any more memory if you wanted to. Why? Because it's maxed out? Yeah. Yeah, you could double the hard drive up to 4 terabytes if you wanted to. So we're going to give you all the specs on the desktop model next week. But the holiday special laptop, we expect it to be the top seller this year, and it's going to be phenomenally nuts. Something positive to be excited about in a world where there's not a lot of positive things happening right now. I want you to be as excited for the holiday special laptop as I was to get my Mustang. Let's put it that way. All right. People won't be getting their Temu orders. Yeah, their Temu orders from China. Fox News headline says over 600 deaths. Yep. They're saying now 600, but it's actually 650 was the update we got when we went on the air here, is what's being reported out of Israel. So their numbers are a little bit outdated on Fox right now. Ricky, thanks for all your insights on this. Hey, no problem. Like I said, I'm just the computer guy. I don't get any kind of consulting deal or anything or commentary contract. I wish I did. That'd be kind of cool. So they actually pay you to just say what you think? Wow, where do I get that gig? I say what I think for free all the time. I can get in trouble for it. Oh, golly. Okay, scrolling back up here, it jumped on me. Question: is Joe or Hunter the Antichrist? Just asking for a friend. Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know about that. Joe and Hunter aren't actually physically shooting people in the head. I kind of feel like, you have the Antichrist, and then you've got like the minions of the Antichrist, and they may be more in the minion category, maybe even the unwitting minions. I'm not sure that they qualify as the actual Antichrist. Could be wrong. This is totally a rumor that I have not had the chance to verify yet. But I want to put my marker down that you heard it here first, if it is true. I'm not going to tell you the name of the celebrity because I haven't verified it, and I don't want to besmirch somebody with an accusation like this that is not accurate. However, it's reported that this celebrity has locked down their Instagram channel. Again, I haven't double-checked it yet. This is one of the if I said this person's name, he would be one of the top 10 people in Hollywood. Was a voice actor on Toy Story, and is accused of pedophilia. If this is true, if this is actually something that's an accusation that gets out, and this person's really locked down their social media, this is going to shake Disney to the core. This is going to shake American media to the core, and it's going to make people literally shake their heads and say, I cannot believe it. I can't. And some of the top movies that you love, you'll never want to watch again, if this is true. But there's, an invasion of Israel to cover it up. So there we go. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I have a friend that astonishes me about the second coming of Christ and all this bad stuff that has to happen before his arrival. Yeah, that's what I read too when I read it. Joe says this is what happens when you're living on stolen land. So I'm not sure how that's intended, Joe. If you mean Israel is living on stolen land, or if the Palestinians are living on stolen land, but it is possible for people to live side by side in peace. And there's a saying that goes something like, if Israel, or if the Palestinians stop fighting, there is peace. And if the Israelis stop fighting, they are eliminated. So it's really, really hard for me to go on the Palestinian bandwagon of these are just a poor victimized people when they could just choose not to be. Like I said, but you can't. I'm not going to categorically say that everyone in Palestine is an evil person, because there are people just like you and me. They get up in the morning, they want to go about their lives, they want to do their thing. And, maybe they have opinions, and maybe they don't like Israel, maybe they don't like Israelis, but they're not going out in the morning with the intent of killing people or shooting children in the head or putting them in cages, right? So they're not evil people. They might have ideas we don't like, but they're not evil people. But then there are evil people that hang out with these people, and what do you do with that? If there's people who are going to come into your home and kill your family, what do you do with that? Do we sit down with a crumpet and some tea and say, please, let's talk this out. Please don't shoot another one of my children. Let's have a conversation about this. I don't think I'd bring a crumpet. Oh, I'm not going to talk about the person's name because I don't want to. I have not verified it yet. Let me see if I can verify it right now. Let's see. I'm going to type in the name. Instagram. Yeah, there's that. I'm going to go here. I'm looking. It wants me to log in. I don't like Instagram, so I don't know that I actually have an Instagram account. It's the same as my Facebook account, I would think. Log in with Facebook. Continue. Okay. I had to log in with Facebook to see. Sorry, this is really exciting radio right here. We detected an unusual login attempt, so send a security code to my phone. Okay. Security code is... Don't share this code with anybody. 957578. Oops. The password is 957. Oops, that's not the whole password. I'm missing a digit. All right, let's try that again. Oh, no, I wasn't missing a digit. It was just really slow. Not now. Okay. So now we're going to go back to where I was. And I've never used Instagram before because I'm super awesome like that. Searching for this person's name. Found that account. No comments on that. Found this one. One comment there. I can share it. I can like it. I can't comment on it. Let's take a look here. On Reels, I can go here and I can add a comment. So it appears that it is not locked down. So I'm glad I didn't share the name, because it appears that the Instagram is not locked down like it said it was. So at any rate, just be on the lookout for that. If you hear about that, if you hear that story, make sure you do your own homework before you believe the rumors, because if I heard the rumors, you're probably reading some of the same media I am. You're going to hear the rumors too. So when you hear those rumors, double check everything. Don't just assume, because I haven't looked into it too much, but whatever the situation is with Russell Brand, somebody's accused him of something and everyone wants to deplatform him, and Rumble won't do it, so Burger King pulled their ads because, the going bankrupt burger company took their ads off of Rumble. That's going to destroy Rumble? I don't understand. All right. Z-Dog says, morning, just woke up, stopped into the store Friday, was told that I just missed you. Yeah, I zip in and out of there sometimes. BBC reported it, and they claim... Okay, so there was an AI picture of this person being arrested by authorities. The BBC reported it, and it was an AI-generated fake image. So the whole thing is potentially an AI-generated fake scam. So like I said, do your homework. You can't believe anything you see on mainstream media. Even respected channels, even like the BBC, as respected as it might be, maybe, even the Epic Times, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, do your own homework and verify things before you jump to conclusions. Because whether it's talking about Donald Trump or talking about Joe Biden or Hunter or whatever the case might be, the ability to do all this kind of stuff with AI is getting kind of scary. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Telegram channels that I'm watching, once again, if you want to add them to your own Telegram, Israel Today is a news source out of Israel. Oh, there's another update just since we gave the last one. Hamas posted this video clip of its forces invading an Israel village, going house to house and either killing or capturing any Israelis found inside. So, I mean, literally, if you want to know what's going on on the ground, Israel Today is great. There's another one, Amir Safadi, Tsarfati. Amir, A-M-I-R, last name Tsarfati. And for the Ukrainian situation, I'm following the Kiev Post, as well as a independent 18-plus Ukraine channel that puts up all the videos that you wouldn't want your kids to look at. Some of them I watch, and some of them are so disturbing I don't want to watch them. They're pretty rough sometimes. It's a war. So, all right, guys, have a great week. Pay attention to the news. Pay attention to your surroundings. Keep your eyes open. Just be aware of your surroundings. That's all. You don't have to go crazy with anything. And don't take what we have here for granted. Because there was a lot of people 2 days in southern Israel 2 days ago who knew that their situation on the border was unstable maybe, or roughly stable, but it was at an equilibrium. And 2 days later, there's kids in cages and there's people getting shot in their homes. That's not equilibrium. So just be thankful for what we have here. And when you choose to vote, when you choose to go, and like not just national politicians, but your locals, your school boards, your stuff like that, keep in mind that you want people who would be able to handle a situation that is unimaginable. Because I think we're coming to a time where we're going to see more unimaginable situations, unfortunately, than we want to see. All right, guys, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next Sunday.